All right, so you ready to dive into this whole website building thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
I know it can be like kind of overwhelming, especially when you start looking at all the different options that are out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's why we're here to like break it all down. We're
Exactly.
going deep on this blog post from blogwidow.com
Okay, cool.
called "How to Build a Website for an Online Business:
Yeah.
A Beginner's Guide,"
Mm.
published February 8th, 2025. So it's like super up to date.
Awesome.
And we're going to try to pull out all the most important information for you,
Yeah.
give you a roadmap to building your online presence.
Love it.
So first things first, right? You got to pick a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like the foundation of your digital house. You got to have a good foundation.
Right.
And the blog post highlights a few of the big ones: WordPress, Wix, Shopify, Squarespace.
Okay, so we've got a lot of options, but how do you know which one is right for you?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. So WordPress, for example, powers a huge chunk of the internet. Like over 40% of all websites are built on WordPress.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredibly flexible, so you can
Hmm.
pretty much customize it to do just about anything. But that also means it can be a little bit more on the technical side.
So if you're like a little techie and you like tinkering,
Yeah,
that kind of a person, WordPress is a good option for you.
exactly. You've got that control. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Wix, on the other hand, is known for being super user-friendly.
Hmm.
It's got that drag and drop interface. So if you're not really a tech person and you just want something that's easy to use, Wix might be a good option.
So that's like no coding knowledge required kind of thing.
Not necessarily, but yeah, you don't really need it, especially if you're just starting out.
Gotcha.
But if you do want those more advanced features down the line, WordPress has a huge plugin library where you can just add all kinds of functionality.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that like you can start with Wix, and then if you need something more advanced later on, you can always switch to WordPress.
Potentially. Yeah, it depends on what you need.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got WordPress, kind of the powerful one, maybe a little more complicated. Wix is the easy to use one. What about Shopify and Squarespace? What are those all about?
Right. So Shopify, that's like the go-to if you're building an online store.
Mm-hmm.
It's built specifically for e-commerce, like product management, payment processing. All that stuff is built in.
Oh, so it's like all in one?
Exactly. A one-stop shop for selling online.
Gotcha. And Squarespace?
Squarespace is all about aesthetics.
Okay.
They have these beautifully designed templates. So if you want your website to look really visually appealing, Squarespace is a great option.
So it's like picking the right tool for the job,
Right.
right? You're not going to use a hammer to screw in a light bulb.
Exactly.
You need the right platform based on your business and your comfort level with technology.
100%. It's all about finding that perfect fit.
All right, so you've picked your platform, you feel good about it. What's next on the website building journey?
Okay, so next you need to get a domain name and web hosting.
Domain name.
Think of it like this. You're setting up shop in the real world. You need an address so people can find you, and you need a space to actually put your business.
Okay, so the domain name is basically your online address, right?
Yeah.
Like www.mybusinessname.com. So
Exactly.
it has to be something memorable, easy to spell, and something that, relates to what you actually do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the domain name.
Yeah.
Got that. What is web hosting, though?
Yeah, so web hosting is essentially you're renting space on a server
Okay.
to store all of your website's files, and that makes your site accessible on the internet. So you can't have a website without web hosting.
So it's like the actual land that your shop sits on.
Exactly. And just like in the real world with real estate, there are a ton of different options to choose from.
Okay.
Some platforms like WordPress.com offer hosting as part of their package, which is super convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want more control or have very specific needs, you might want to consider a separate hosting provider like Bluehost, HostGator, SiteGround.
Okay, I see. So you can either rent the land and build the shop yourself, or you can get a pre-built shop, and the land is included.
Right. A lot of choices out there.
Okay, so we've got platform, domain, hosting. What is next? Are we ready to start building this thing yet?
Almost. Now it's time to think about the design and structure of your website, and this is where templates and themes come in.
Templates, themes. It's starting to sound a little like interior design here. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. They're pre-designed layouts that give your website a framework, like a blueprint.
Okay.
So they take care of that basic structure and the look and feel, so you don't have to start from scratch.
Okay. That makes sense, especially if you're not a designer.
Yeah.
That would be a huge time saver. So how do you actually choose the right template or theme?
Well, there are a few key things to consider. First, responsiveness. It needs to look good on all devices, desktops, laptops, phones, tablets, everything.
Right, because everyone is browsing on different devices these days. You don't want someone to go to your site and have to like zoom in and like scroll around just to read the text. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be easy to use and look good on everything.
Makes sense.
You also want a theme that's lightweight and optimized for speed.
Okay.
Because a slow website is going to make people leave.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit around staring at a loading screen forever.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah. So speed is really important. And then also customization options are important as well. You want a theme that lets you tweak the colors, fonts, the layout, so you can really make it your own and match your brand.
So it's kind of like, when you get a car, like a base model car, and then you can choose the paint color you want in the interior and all the gadgets you want.
Exactly.
Cool.
And you'll usually have the option to choose between free or premium themes, especially if you're using WordPress free. Themes are a good starting point, but premium themes usually come with more features, better support, more customization options.
So it's like choosing between the, basic car and the fully loaded one with all the bells and whistles.
Exactly.
Okay, so platform, domain hosting, theme. We got all that figured out. Now what's next? Okay, so now we can finally move on to the good stuff, the content of your website.
Okay, yeah, and that's getting interesting.
Yeah, so the blog post goes over the essential pages that every online business website should have.
Okay, what are those?
So you've got your homepage, About Us page, a products or services page, contact page, and a blog.
Okay. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just, throwing some text on a page and calling it a day.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Each page serves a specific purpose, and you really want to make sure it's set up strategically to achieve that purpose,
Right, let's break it down then. So homepage, what's that all about?
All right, so the homepage, that's your first impression.
Right.
It's like the storefront of your online business.
Okay.
You want to make it super clear what you do, who you serve, and what you offer.
Got it.
Make it visually appealing, easy to navigate, and have a clear call to action. Tell people what you want them to do.
So homepage equals first impressions and then guiding them towards what you want them to do next. Okay, what about the About Us page? Is that just like, a boring company bio?
Not at all. No, no, no. The About Us page is your chance to tell your story, connect with visitors on a more personal level.
Yes.
Share your mission, your values, what makes you unique. Let people get to know the face behind the brand.
So you're saying it's more about like building relationships and trust than just listing a bunch of facts?
100%. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, even online.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Okay, products or services page? What about that one? Is that where we just like list everything we offer?
Essentially, yes, but it's not just a boring list. You want to showcase your offerings in a way that's exciting and engaging.
Okay.
High-quality images, clear and concise descriptions highlight the benefits of each product or service.
So you're really selling them on what you have.
Exactly, and don't forget to include clear pricing information.
Oh, you don't want people to have to hunt around for that?
Nobody likes that, no.
Okay, so transparency is key. Contact page, that seems pretty self-explanatory, just a way for people to contact you.
Yes, but make it easy for them.
Oh.
Contact form, email address, phone number. If you have one, social media links, give them a bunch of options to reach out. And if you have a physical location, maybe include a map.
Gotcha.
Easy peasy.
Make it easy to connect. All right, now what about this blog thing? Isn't blogging kind of old school?
Well, blogging has evolved a lot over the years, but it can still be a powerful tool for driving traffic to your website, establishing yourself as an expert in your field, building relationships with your audience.
So it's less about Dear Diary and more about sharing valuable content.
Exactly. Give people a reason to visit your website and keep coming back for more.
Okay, I see how that would be beneficial, but how do you make sure that people actually find your blog posts? There's millions of blogs out there.
That's a great question, and that's where SEO comes in, search engine optimization.
Oh, yes. SEO. I've heard it's super important, but also kind of mysterious. Can you break it down for us?
Yeah, definitely. So it's basically about understanding how search engines work and optimizing your website so it shows up higher in search results.
For example, you need to do keyword research to find out what words and phrases people are actually typing into Google when they're looking for information related to your business.
So if you're a personal trainer, you'd want to know what people are searching for when they're trying to find fitness advice or, personal training services.
Exactly. And then you'd want to incorporate those keywords into your website content, your blog posts, your page titles, image descriptions, all that stuff.
So it's not just about stuffing in keywords wherever you can. It's about using them in a natural way and making sure that your content is actually helpful and answers the questions that people are searching for.
Yes, exactly. You want to provide value to your audience, not just try to game the system.
Makes sense. Keyword research. Key. What other SEO tips do we need to keep in mind?
Image optimization is another big one.
Okay.
Make sure your images have descriptive file names and alt text, which is like a description of the image that search engines can understand. So instead of naming my picture, img_121234.jpg, I would actually name it something descriptive like, personal trainer helping client with weights or something like that.
Exactly. And for the alt text, you could say something like personal trainer guiding a client through a weightlifting exercise.
So that helps search engines, but does it also help people who are visually impaired?
Yes. It makes your website more accessible to people who use screen readers.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's important.
So image optimization is good for SEO, and it's good for accessibility.
Exactly. And don't forget to compress your images to make them smaller.
Right.
That'll help your website load faster, which is another important ranking factor for SEO.
Right, because nobody wants to wait around for a slow website. What other speed bumps should we try to avoid?
Mobile optimization. Make sure your website looks good and works properly on all devices, but especially smartphones.
Right, because pretty much everyone's browsing on their phone these days.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget about internal linking. That means linking to other pages within your website. It helps users navigate your site, and it helps search engines understand how everything is connected.
So it's kind of like creating a web of connections.
Yeah, precisely. Now, speaking of connections, we should also talk about adding essential plugins and tools to your website. They're like little helpers that can supercharge your website with all sorts of extra features and functionality.
Okay, so what kind of superpowers are we talking about here?
Well, if you're using WordPress, one of the must-haves is Yoast SEO.
Okay.
It helps you optimize your content for search engines, analyze your keyword usage, generate XML sitemaps, which are like roadmaps for search engines to crawl and index your website.
So it does all the things?
Pretty much, yeah. It's super helpful.
Okay, cool.
And if you're running an online store on WordPress, WooCommerce is another must-have.
Okay.
That's a complete e-commerce solution, so you can manage your products, your inventory orders, payments, shipping all in one place.
WooCommerce.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Okay.
Now, regardless of what platform you're using, Google Analytics is essential for everyone.
Got it.
It helps you track how your website is performing, see how many visitors you're getting, where they're coming from, and how they're interacting with your site.
Data is power, right?
Absolutely. Another useful tool is Contact Form 7. That's a plugin for creating contact forms for WordPress.
Okay.
Makes it really easy for people to get in touch with you. And then finally, an SSL certificate is crucial for any website, especially if you're handling sensitive information like credit card details.
Okay, can you explain what an SSL certificate is for those of us who aren't, techie?
Yeah, sure. So it's basically a security protocol that encrypts the connection between your website and your visitor's web browser.
Okay.
It adds a layer of protection, helps to build trust, and you can usually tell if a website has an SSL certificate if it says HTTPS at the beginning of the web address and you see a little padlock icon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The padlock is security. I always look for that.
Good. That means your information is safe.
Awesome. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Choosing a platform, getting a domain name, and web hosting, designing and structuring a site, creating content, optimizing for SEO, and all these plugins and tools. Is there anything else we need to do before we launch this thing out into the world?
Almost. There's one super important step before you go live testing and launching.
Okay, so we're in the home stretch now.
Yes, the blog post really emphasizes the importance of thoroughly testing your website before you make it public.
Yeah.
You want to make sure everything's working properly. So click on all the links, test out all the forms. If you're processing payments, make sure that's working. View the site on different devices to make sure it's responsive.
Okay.
It's so much better to find any mistakes or issues now before it's live.
So there's like a dress rehearsal before opening night.
Exactly. And once everything is tested and you're happy with it, then you hit that publish button, and then it's time to spread the word.
Yeah.
Social media, email list, all that good stuff.
So now we celebrate, we share our masterpiece with the world.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, there's one thing that I'm curious about. Building a website can seem really overwhelming, especially if you're doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
What is like one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just starting out and maybe feeling a little intimidated by the whole process?
That's a great question. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the most important thing is to just start.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in trying to make everything perfect right out of the gate.
Right.
It's a learning process. You're going to figure things out as you go, and there are tons of resources out there to help you.
Exactly.
You don't have to do it all alone.
Yeah, don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Right.
Start simple, and then you can build from there.
Right. It's like building a house. You start with the foundation and then you add on as you need to.
Yeah.
Nobody's expecting you to build the Taj Mahal in the first try.
Exactly. And the thing is, your website's never really finished anyway. It's always a work in progress.
That's true.
As your business grows and changes, your website should grow and change with it.
So you're basically saying embrace the journey and
Yeah.
just keep making adjustments as you go.
Absolutely. And if you ever get stuck, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Right.
There's tons of online communities, forums, even professional web developers who can help you out.
Yeah, there's a whole community of people who have, been there, done that, and they're usually happy to help out,
For sure.
which is awesome.
Yeah, it really is actually, this whole conversation about building websites reminds me of this time when I was first getting started with web design.
Oh, do tell. I bet you have some good stories.
Well, this wasn't that long ago, but it definitely felt like the Wild West of web design back then.
Okay.
I was trying to build a website for a friend's bakery, and I thought I was pretty good at HTML and CSS.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling confident.
I feel it coming.
So I spent weeks coding this website from scratch. I designed every page, added all the content, even put in some fancy animations that I had learned. I was really proud of myself.
I bet it feels good to create something, from nothing.
It really does. Yeah. But then the day came to launch the website. I uploaded all the files to the server, double-checked everything, and then nothing.
Nothing like it didn't work.
Yeah. The website was just a blank white page.
Oh, no.
I know. I was freaking out. I frantically checked the code, the server settings, everything I could think of, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong.
That's the worst nightmare.
It was. And the worst part was I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong.
Oh, man. So what did you have to call in, like, the professional web developer?
I was so close to giving up, but then I remembered this online forum I had found. It was full of web developers who helped each other out with coding problems.
Okay.
So I posted my issue, described everything in detail, and I crossed my fingers.
Hoping that someone had the answer.
All right. And thankfully, within a few hours, somebody replied with a solution.
Awesome.
It turned out I had made this tiny little typo in one of the CSS files I was missing. A semicolon.
A semicolon, the importance of semicolons.
I know, right? It was so small, but it broke the whole website. I fixed the typo, re-uploaded the files, and it worked perfectly.
Technology.
I know.
So the lesson is that even the smallest mistake can have, huge consequences.
Exactly. And sometimes you just need another set of eyes to look at it,
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, even if you think it's something small or silly.
Right. It's like two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that different perspective.
For sure. And that's what's so great about the web development community. Everybody's super helpful, and they're always willing to share their knowledge.
So to all of our listeners out there, don't be afraid to reach out if you get stuck. There are tons of people who are willing to help you out.
Exactly. Yeah. And speaking of the future of the web, this blog post we've been talking about, it focuses on building traditional websites, but I'm curious to hear what you think about, with all this buzz around artificial intelligence and the metaverse. Do you think traditional websites are going to become a thing of the past?
That's a great question. It's definitely a really interesting time to be in the digital space. All this new technology is coming out, AI, the metaverse. And I think it's safe to say that the way that we interact with the web is probably going to change a lot over the next few years.
Right. It's crazy to think about how AI could be used to personalize the user experience. So, tailoring the website content and the functionality to each individual person.
Right. Like imagine a website that already knows what you're looking for before you even type it in.
Exactly. Or a website that changes its design and layout based on your mood or the time of day.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the metaverse. Websites could become these immersive 3D spaces where you're actually interacting with brands and other users in a completely different way.
So it's like you step into the website instead of just looking at it on a screen.
Exactly. You could attend virtual events or explore interactive showrooms or even co-create products with companies, in this digital world.
That's wild. I mean, the possibilities are endless. But do you think that traditional websites are still going to have a place in this future that we're talking about?
It's hard to say. What do you think?
I think they'll definitely evolve, but I don't think they're going away completely because they still serve a really important purpose.
Right.
They provide information, they showcase products and services, and they make it possible to do business online.
Sure.
But they're definitely going to have to adapt to, keep up with people's expectations.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's kind of like what happened with books.
Yeah.
We have ebooks and audiobooks now, but people still buy physical books.
Right.
Different formats for different needs and preferences.
Exactly. And just like how physical books offer that tactile experience that you don't get from a digital book, I think traditional websites offer that sense of familiarity and stability that you might not get in the metaverse.
Yeah, that's a good point. People like what they know, especially when it comes to things like, shopping or banking online. They don't want to have to learn a whole new system every time they go to a different website.
Right. So while I do think the future of web design is going to be heavily influenced by AI and the metaverse, I don't think traditional websites are going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they'll probably coexist, catering to different needs and preferences.
Interesting. It'll be really cool to see how this all unfolds over the next few years.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too.
It's a really exciting time to be, a web creator.
Yeah, it is.
And to our listeners out there, if you're just starting out with this whole website building thing, just remember that it's a journey and it's full of possibility.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to experiment and push the boundaries and create something unique that really represents you and your business.
And most importantly, have fun.
Yes.
Building a website should be, an enjoyable experience.
For sure.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to go back to something we talked about a little bit earlier, which is the importance of storytelling in website design.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's such a key element that sometimes gets overlooked.
I agree. A website that tells a story that really connects with visitors on an emotional level that's way more memorable and engaging than a website that just gives you information.
Exactly. It's like, reading a company's mission statement versus hearing the founder talk about their vision. One is just words on a page, and the other one makes you feel like you're part of something.
Right. You feel that passion.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything super complicated or fancy. Sometimes the simplest stories are the best ones.
Yeah.
Like I was on a website for a local coffee shop the other day, and they had little bios for all the baristas.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was really cute. And they said their favorite drink to make or a fun fact about themselves.
I love that.
Yeah, and it just made me feel more connected to the place.
Yeah, it's those little details that make a difference.
Exactly, and it works for any kind of business, whether you're selling handmade jewelry or you're offering consulting services or you have a tech startup. It doesn't matter.
Right, storytelling is universal.
Yeah, and I think it also goes beyond just the words themselves. Visuals are super important for storytelling too.
Absolutely. A good photo or video can really grab people's attention.
All right, like imagine a website for a travel agency.
Right.
If they just list the destinations and the prices, that's not very exciting.
No.
But if they have these amazing pictures and videos of, the beaches and the mountains and the cities,
Yeah.
suddenly you want to book a trip.
It paints a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the difference between reading a travel brochure and watching a travel documentary.
Exactly. One just gives you the facts. The other one makes you feel like you're already there.
Yeah. So as you're building your website, think about how you can incorporate storytelling into everything.
Yes.
From the text to the pictures to the overall design.
It's all connected.
It's about creating an experience, not just a website.
Love that.
Okay. I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to know about building a website for your online business.
I think so.
We talked about platforms, domain names, hosting, designing, and structuring your site, creating content, SEO plugins and tools, and even storytelling.
Ooh, that's a lot.
I know it's a lot, but hopefully you guys feel like you have a good roadmap now.
Yeah, for sure.
And just remember, it's an ongoing process. Don't get overwhelmed. Just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, start small and build from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, experiment, have fun, learn as you go.
And reach out for help if you need it.
Yes, exactly. There are so many people out there who are willing to help.
Absolutely.
All right, so to all of our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to, get out there and start building your online dream.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be sharing your own website building tips with the world.
That would be awesome.
All right, so until next time,
Happy website building.
keep diving deep.
Bye.
See ya. For me, it's those little things that, kind of bring the brand to life.
Okay.
Like behind the scenes stuff, how a product is made, or if they share the founder's story. I feel like those are the things that make me feel more connected to a company.
Yeah, it's those personal touches that make you feel like you're actually connecting with a human, not just a faceless corporation.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's so different than just reading like a dry mission statement.
Right.
When you can hear the passion in
Right.
the founder's voice,
Yeah.
it makes you feel like you're a part of something.
It's about building a relationship.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything super complicated or fancy.
Yeah,
Sometimes the simple stories are the most effective ones.
totally.
Like, I was looking at a website for a local coffee shop, and they had these little bios for each of their baristas.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it was really cute. And they would say, like, their favorite drink to make or, like, a fun fact about themselves.
Oh, I love that.
It just made me feel more connected to the place.
Yeah, it's those little details that make you remember a place and want to go back.
Exactly. And that could be so powerful for any business. It doesn't matter what you're selling.
Right.
Handmade jewelry, consulting services, tech,
Yeah.
startup, whatever.
Storytelling is for everyone.
Yeah. And it's not just about the words either. Visuals are a huge part of storytelling too.
Oh, absolutely.
A good photo or video can convey so much emotion,
Yeah,
you know.
totally. Like a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Exactly. Like, think about a website for a travel agency.
Okay.
If they just list the destinations and prices, it's not very inspiring.
Yeah, no.
But if they have beautiful photos and videos of, like, the beaches or the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
suddenly you're like, I want to go there.
You can picture yourself there?
Right. It's like the difference between reading a travel brochure and watching a travel documentary.
Exactly.
One just gives you information, the other one, like, transports you.
Yeah, it makes you feel something.
So as you're building your website, think about how you can use storytelling in everything.
Mm-hmm.
The words, the visuals, the whole design. It's about creating an experience.
I love that.
All right, so I think we've covered just about everything when it comes to building a website for your online business.
Yeah, I think so.
We talked about platforms, domain names, hosting, designing and structuring your site, creating content, SEO, plugins and tools, and even storytelling.
We did it.
We did it. And remember, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect right away. It's about starting learning, adapting, and evolving.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to experiment and have fun along the way.
Have fun. That's the most important part.
All right, so to all of our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. We hope this deep dive has inspired you to go out and build your online dream.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one sharing your website wisdom with the world someday.
That's the dream.
All right, until next time.
Happy website building, everybody.
Keep diving deep.